they just were very, very good neighbours. And John B. Keane, all Irish people, as you probably know, are quite welcoming, you know, and traditional. And in a small country town like that, people depend on each other, you know. So anytime very, very later on, when John B was very famous and being lauded in Dublin, and you know, he got awards. I was in college in Dublin, and he would invite me. You know, he said we always have to look after our own and our neighbour's child, and it has continued down the family. Billy is running the bar now, and every time I get home, you know, it's a celebration. So this is one of my favourite Christmas stories. It's called Long Ago. Many years ago, in our street, there lived an old woman who had but one son. His name was Jack. Jack's father had died when his son was no more than a gorsoon, so Jack's mother had to go to work to support her son and herself. As Jack grew older, she still went out to work for the simple reason that Jack did not like work. The people in the street used to say that Jack was good for three things. He was good for eating, he was good for smoking, and he was good for drinking. He was also good for leaving. When his mother was too old to work, Jack left for England. Years passed, and the old woman never had a line from her only son. Every Christmas, she would stand inside her window, waiting for a card or a letter, but she waited in vain. Now it happened that in our street there was a postman who knew a lot more about his residents than they knew about themselves. When Christmas came, he was weighed down with bags of letters and parcels. People waited his arrival the way children awaited the bishop on confirmation day. He was not averse to indulging in a drop of the comforts wherever such comforts were tendered, but comforts or no comforts, this man was always sensitive to the needs of others. In his heart resided the spirit of Christmas. Whenever he came to the house where the old lady lived, he would crawl on all fours past her window. He just didn't have the heart to go by and be seen by her. For the whole week before Christmas, she would take up position behind the curtains, waiting for this letter from her son, which never came. Finally, the postman could bear it no longer. On Christmas Eve, he delivered to our house a mixed bunch of cards and letters. Some were from England. He requested one of those envelopes when its contents were removed. He rewrote the name and address and wrote a short note, which he signed, "Your loving son, Jack." Then from his pocket, he extracted a 10-shilling note, which was a considerable sum in those far-off days. He placed the note in the envelope. Shh, lads, there was no fear that the old woman would notice the handwriting, because if Jack was good at some things, he was not good at other things at all, and one of those was writing. In fact, Jack could not write his own name. When the postman came to the old woman's door, he knocked loudly. When she appeared, he put on his best official voice and said, "Sign for this, if you please, missus." The old woman signed and opened the envelope. The tears appeared in her eyes, and she cried out loud, "I declare to God, Jack is a scholar." "True for you," said the postman, "and I dare say he couldn't get in touch with you until he learned how to write." "I always knew there was good in him," she said. "I always knew it." "There's good in everyone, missus," said the postman, as he moved on to the next house. The street was not slow in getting the message, and in the next and last post, there were several parcels for the old woman. It was probably the best Christmas the street ever had. So we couldn't hear from Kevin, unfortunately, but we got to do a little bit of Christmas in Ireland. For those of you who joined us late, we just had technical difficulties with sound. And so Kevin can't do his presentation. But would you like Kevin to talk a little bit about your topic or sing a song for us or something? No pressure. Kevin?
Everyone appears to be muted. So are you waiting for a response from them?
No, from you. Did you want to give a
from
little
me?
bit
I'm
of your
sorry.
talk? Or, yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have multiple chapters in the presentation.
I know.
And it's so much verbiage, it just doesn't make sense. I have
I
a
know.
voiceover. So if we can't get sound, the only thing I can do is maybe sing a Christmas song from one of the Celtic countries. How is that?
I would love that.
Part of the problem with the half of the there's 8 Celtic countries right now. There used to be 6, but Galicia and Asturias were recognized back in the 80s by the Pan-Celtic League. And about half of the Celtic countries were not allowed to celebrate Christmas because of the Puritan government in England. So this song is actually a winter song more than it is a Christmas song. But it's got a very, very simple, it comes from Cornwall or Cornog, as it's called in Gaelic. It's got a very simple chorus. I'll sing that first, and then hopefully, if people aren't really annoyed at me at this point, maybe they'll join along. And Mary bore Jesus, our Savior, for to be. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Holly, holly. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. So hopefully everyone will join in on the chorus. A very simple song. Oh, the holly bears a berry as white as the milk, and Mary, she bore Jesus, all wrapped up in silk. And Mary, she bore Jesus, our Savior, for to be. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Holly, holly. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Oh, the holly bears a berry as green as the grass. And Mary, she bore Jesus, who died on the cross. And Mary, she bore Jesus, our Savior, for to be. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Holly, holly. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Oh, the holly bears a berry as black as the coal. And Mary, she bore Jesus, who died for us all. And Mary, she bore Jesus, our Savior, for to be. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Holly, holly. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Oh, the holly bears a berry as blood it is red. And we trust in our Savior, who rose from the dead. And Mary, she bore Jesus, our Savior, for to be. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Holly, holly. And the first tree in the greenwood, it was the holly. Sinead.
Sinead, go on, Erfog. Thank you very much. Guys, I'm sorry, let's put it down to Mercury being in retrograde. That happened, Kevin, when you were gone. Someone told us. Betty reminded me. So I do think, communication is off. But we're not gone yet. We'll be here next week. I know those of you online, of course, won't be here, but we have our film club on Monday for Christmas. And then on the 19th, which is Tuesday, we have Dr. Ronald Baer, who he was editor of that classic kind of Bible, The Irish in New York. And he's going to talk to us about the Irish and the Italians to finish out our series that we were doing all year, the Irish and the other groups. So we showed Brooklyn last week, and it's a tumultuous relationship between the Irish and the Italians, apparently, even though you would think they've lots in common. So he'll talk to us about that kind of neighbours in conflict. And so I won't say Merry Christmas yet, because we have more programming to go, but thank you, Kevin. I'm so sorry it didn't work out. But we'll
hopefully,
we can do a March holidays one. And happy holidays.
After
exactly.
The holidays, let's you and I reconnect and see if we can't figure out what went wrong.
Yeah, and we'll I'm leaving for Ireland on the 20th, so we probably won't do any more programming after Tuesday.
Oh, that's right.
But we'll have you back in March, because I know you have other, between St. Patrick's Day and St. Bridget and other Irish history. So we will definitely be hearing from Kevin again. But thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Mercury is a nightmare. Tell me, Jack.
Good effort, guys. Nice substituting.
Yeah, good effort, right? I know. I had mulled wine, so it was a lovely night for me. I felt Christmassy. But thank you very much. Take care, everyone. Kevin, I'll be in touch for sure.
Okay, have a safe
Okay.
trip and happy Christmas.
Thank you. You too. Happy Christmas or a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Yeah. Take care, everyone. But